and welcome back to Chapter 4 of PLEIADES, an autobiographical work. I call this chapter John. Please excuse me if my voice sounds a little off as I pronounce. I have at present I am suffering with some kind of a tooth problem. Seems like I might actually have to get it pulled, but this is the weekend, and actually I'm in a lot of distress, and so as I speak, you probably hear that I'm speaking a little differently than I usually do. Anyway, that's what that's about. Chapter 4, John. I spent my earliest years living in black neighborhoods. I guess the rent was probably less expensive there. And so what that meant was that my first friends on the planet during this incarnation were black, which in turn meant that I would have no racial prejudice. Far from it. Due to those experiences, I find that throughout this life that I have had what I refer to as a reverse prejudice, which to me means that whenever I have seen a black person, I automatically feel a sense of love and family. John was the name of our landlord in one of those earlier dwellings. It was a 2 or maybe 3-story house in a black neighborhood in Springfield, Massachusetts. My mom and I lived downstairs on the ground floor, and John lived upstairs. I was probably 3 or 4. I liked John. He was nice and would watch me for my mom sometimes. I would go upstairs into his apartment and watch his big color television set. I really liked that. John owned his own auto body repair shop. John liked to drink a lot, but I only remember seeing him mean a few times. When I would be upstairs and he was drinking, I remember that he would give me beer. I liked it. I remember that I had done the little kid thing, where I had told him that my mom let me drink beer and that it was okay. For some reason, he decided to either believe me or play along. So for a while anyway, it became commonplace to visit John and have some beer while hanging out and watching TV. That finally ended one day when I was returning to our apartment downstairs, and he gave me 3 or 4 beers for later. My mom saw me coming down the stairs with all these cans of beer and wanted to know why and how and what for. I don't recall the conversation that she must have had with John, and I probably wasn't privy to it anyway. But I remember that she didn't seem very happy about me having my own beer, and took them away from me. Next time I was up at John's, seems like it may have been a little while before I was allowed up there again, he wouldn't give me any beer. He said that I had lied to him when I had said that my mom let me drink beer. On this day, or was it night, he was drinking whiskey. I asked him if I could have some. He said my mom said I wasn't allowed to drink. And I said that she allowed me to drink whiskey. He said that that's what I had said about the beer, and that I had lied to him. I told him that I was mistaken about the beer, but this whiskey was the stuff she let me drink for sure. So he poured me a shot. Maybe John just didn't understand little kids very well. I took a sip and proceeded to start coughing and choking immediately. He was probably smiling as he asked me what was wrong, but I don't remember. But I do recall him saying, "I thought you said you've had that before. You said you drink it all the time." I had to admit that I must have been mistaken and that I thought it was something else. I really liked John a lot. He was Finnish, and so he had a Finnish sauna that he had built in the backyard. Sometimes he would invite me when he or his friends would use it. I remember he would pour water onto the hot stones and the steam would billow up to the ceiling. I loved it. As I write this, I can almost smell the beer and feel the steam from those nights so long ago. I recall one night, while in the backyard with John and some of his friends, that one of his friends asked me to hold his beer for a moment, and so I did. While I was holding it, I recall thinking that it would be funny if I took a thorn from one of the rose bushes that were growing in the backyard and put it into his beer. I wasn't trying to be mean. I just thought it seemed like it would be funny. So I did it. No one was hurt, but when he found it, he wasn't very happy about it and said something like it could have made him choke. I've always been good about learning from my experience, so I never did that again. Sometimes John would take me to the bar with him. I liked that. It was fun, and I enjoyed the bar snacks that they always had out for people, and probably the occasional kid-friendly bartender would give me something special too. But that last part I'm just guessing about. One night, while driving back from the bar with John in his pickup truck, I recall the cab filling with flashing lights and John swearing. He seemed really upset and said something about that he would really be in trouble if they caught him with me in the truck. He must have swerved in the road or maybe violated a traffic rule, but for whatever reason, he had attracted the attentions of the police, and he was decidedly unhappy about it. Lights filling the darkness, sirens, John swearing, the fear in his voice, adrenaline, the sound of John's motor roaring as he attempts to outrun them. Faster and faster, the sounds of racing vehicle engines flying down side streets, shattering the quiet with thunder and sirens wailing in the night. Me in the front seat, with eyes wide, taking it all in. My first police chase, and we had escaped. To me, it was wonderful and exciting. I fully enjoyed it. And then there were the hours I spent playing with the little wooden blocks he made for me. I guess he liked to work with wood. The throwaway part, ends and corners, he would sand smooth and give to me. Thus I developed a very nice collection of wooden blocks, which occupied me and my imagination for hours on end. John has been gone for many, many years now. He left the planet a lifetime ago, but in his way, he left some strong and good memories in the life of the little boy I was. I think I was probably in my mid-teens, or maybe a bit younger, when I heard of his death. We hadn't lived in John's house since around the time of these related adventures, and I hadn't seen or heard anything of him since. I guess my mom kept in touch with him, since I seem to recall hearing her speak of him sometimes to a friend or two. Why did we move? John got upset about something and raised the rent. I don't know what that was about. Maybe something between him and my mom, or maybe he was just drunk. My mom said when he realized we were moving that he lowered it again, but by then it was too late, and my mom said something about not trusting him to not do it again. I will always remember you fondly, John. Farewell, where'er you may fare. And that's the end of chapter 4, entitled John. I'd like to thank you once again for joining me, and I hope you're all having a beautiful day or night, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the near future. Bye for now.